we all know that, and we have that memorized and in our hearts. So now I get to go out to Mr. John Bradley because he has stories tonight, and that's the nature of our business, is we share stories with people and show them the value of our services. So John, over to you.
Thanks, Brenda. Good evening, everyone. John Bradley, Novi, Michigan, background public safety communications. Got a couple of good ones for you tonight. First one is from a woman and her husband who were on Medicare. The husband needed a replacement for his CPAP machine. The doctor wrote a prescription on their orders, a prescription for the machine, and the supplier said that he needed to get that from a pulmonologist. So the doctor referred him to a pulmonologist. The pulmonologist wrote a prescription. The supplier refused it, saying now a sleep study was needed. I don't know why they didn't say that in the first place. So they got Legal Shield involved. The provider law firm wrote a letter to the supplemental insurance carrier. The insurance carrier had a specialist assigned to the case. And long story short, the Medicare recipient got his new mask. They are PPLSI for life. The next one is for a business owner who owned a restaurant. And while working with a merchant card salesperson, they were contracted with a rate for 4 years. However, the rate kept creeping up year after year. And so that he didn't have to worry about termination fees, he just lived with it. Well, it was getting out of hand. And at the time, he did not have the Legal Shield small business plan. This was a pre-existing condition, but yet he enrolled in the small business plan, got the attorneys involved. They wrote a very strong 3-page letter and got a call from the district manager of the merchant card company apologizing, didn't understand how it got so bad. And long story short, they were allowed to break the contract with no penalties and received a check for $6,000, which was the sum total of all those fees that were accumulating. He also is PPLSI for life. Back to you.
So I guess that goes out to me, right?
That's right. I'm sorry. It goes back to you, Brenda.
Okay. Now, Jane. And well, with that, great stories, John. I hope you will put those onto the Success Partners calendar, or get those to Alice so that she can get them on there for us. That's great. And this evening, y'all, we have just such an honor to have one of our very best, one of our very own, Lorna Rasmusssen, with us, who is living in Costa Rica, for those of you who were here for the music before. And we're going to go out to Lorna. She's going to share some of her wisdom with us. Good evening. I've had some wonderful conversations with Lorna, and I know so has Susan Comer and Brenda Daniels and others on here. And so, Lorna, we're so happy that you could be with us tonight. Tell us a little bit about your journey, first of all.
Well, the fact that I'm here and in a place that some people, when they come to visit me, say, you live in a resort, which it kind of is. It's beautiful weather. We have a beautiful big swimming pool out the door here, and panoramic view of a valley. And there are so many birds, I can't keep up with them. It's pretty amazing. I'm here because of PPLSI. There would have been nothing else nothing else I could have done, I don't believe, that would have gotten me here. And it's interesting because I tell the story all the time, but sometimes I need to stop and really take it in myself. And that is that at the age of 48, I was going bankrupt, and we would have lost everything. And it was just luck that got us involved with this company. And basically within 10 years, I'd earned my first $1 million, and it just got better and better and better and better. And here I am.
Wow. And you keep going with it. So what is your definition of success in Legal Shield for you?
Well, I think it's your definition. Obviously, everybody's definition is different, and it's personal. At first, it was not to go bankrupt. That got me out the door and working really hard. And it's interesting. This sounds like a joke, but I really don't mean it to be. But somebody asked me one time, I'm listening to all these stories of people on stage who, are making millions of dollars, but they all start with the same story, or he said they all start with the same story, that they had no money, that they were broke. I said, well, that's not exactly true of everyone. I said, but it really helps your motivation. And it's true that sometimes I think one of the hardest things I ever had to do was, among many stories I could tell you, but my house burned down and I literally stopped working the business for 2 years. I mean, I would show up, but I was catatonic. If you'd said something to me, I'd never even think I'd met you before, because I was just out to lunch because of the stress of trying to put my house back together, my home back together. And when I was starting to go back to work, it was a little hard because it was going pretty well. In fact, my income had gone up in the time that I wasn't working. But that comes from a foundation. And I know John's going to want me to say that. It doesn't happen magically or overnight or, just because you wish it. It comes from a foundation. And the foundation that I laid, I think, first was in personal development. And that just happened that I had bought a training franchise from Paul J. Meyer's company. And that gave me that. And then I had 4 years of working in another company to learn the business. It is a business. And that's the other thing that I think some people miss is it's a business and your preparation is not that dissimilar. Let's say you wanted to decide that you wanted to be an accountant and you set out at the age of 19 and you took all the courses and you graduated and you came out and you became an accountant. You did not instantaneously start earning a huge amount of money. And it took you 4 years to get there. And that's something I think people forget. And for me, when just this afternoon, I was floating around in the pool with my husband and pinching ourselves, as we oftentimes do, that we live in such a beautiful place. And, I really think this is the culmination of what we worked for many, many years. And we weren't willing to give up anywhere along the way. The thought crossed my mind. Sometimes I even got as far as kind of trying to figure out what else I would do. But it never made sense to quit, even when the going was hard.
That's incredible. And you're still working. You've got a whole lot of things on your plate. I know that. So what is your process for working from another country?
Oh, I mean, I don't remember when it was, but it was about 2 to 3. No, it must have been about 6 years ago. And I think it's when they gave us Zoom as a perk. I don't know whether we're still doing that, but I took advantage of it. But it was like all the pieces went together to make it possible to work this business from anywhere. Now, having said that, and moving down here and getting myself established, it was a big move, and I complicated it by breaking my ankle and things like that. But in about 3 years, I felt like, okay, I'm ready to go to work. The problem was it was hard to find how to network online. And I literally have spent the last 5 years learning it. It got easier after the pandemic because everybody got online, but you're still faced with the same thing. But what I've come to understand is that what I did in Atlanta, and I was the queen of networking. I went out to every networking event possible. Again, I worked really hard to have the success that I have. But I found out that it's the same line as it is in person to person. There's some techniques and some things that you need to do. And I've become really obsessed with teaching other people that, because I think people are missing the boat when they look at what the 20-year-olds particularly. I'm looking around, I don't see a whole lot of 20-year-olds on there. And so if you're a 20-year-old, it may be fine to go prancing down the beach in your bikini. When you get to be my age, that's offensive. You don't want to do that. So it really, learning how to do that became an obsession with me. And so now I'm teaching other people, which has been fun.
I absolutely agree with you about the online. And are you in networking groups online now like you used to do when you were live?
Yeah, and it's so much easier. First of all, I just have to dress from the, the waist up. The back of my hair doesn't matter what it looks like. And
Absolutely.
I can adjust the camera slightly so that I look better than I might otherwise. But there's so much happening online. And that's every once in a while I say, okay, I've had it. I don't want to do any more networking. I mean, I network I have one group I get on at 7 a.m. I have another one where I get on at 3 p.m. And I just said, the only rule that I made where it really has changed my life is not to work after 5 o'clock. This is an exception. I am not usually up at this time of the night doing things like this.
For which we thank you as well. So I'm glad that you are on here. Do you have any tips for everybody tonight as far as their online business, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn? What tips would you give us?
I'm going to give you the most important, and that is to tell you, and this has been said to you about other things as well, but I'm going to tell you that when you are making your presence known, your LinkedIn profile is your billboard, your Facebook profile is your billboard. It is not about you. You are not the important person here. The person who's important, who's most important, is the person who you see as your ideal client. The person, if you're in recruiting, you're in a recruiting mode, then you have to be talking to that person. If you are mostly starting with people who are in need of the service, and then you'll recruit from there, which some people do, and that's certainly how I worked for years, then you have to start with that person. And each person, I know, Jane, you do a lot of work in small business. You have to talk to the small business owner, and you have to determine where that person is. And I will tell you, a small business owner, by and large, is not on Facebook. They're certainly not on Instagram if they're, older than 40, or TikTok. And, a lot of these platforms are trying to get our attention and tell us we can do business there. But it's really the most important thing is figuring out who your ideal client is, and then where they hang out and what their pain points are. And if you do that, and everything you do is addressing that issue.
I love that. We all want to be that rounded associate doing all aspects of the business, but we really do. I think you're right. We have to start somewhere. I had to let go of Facebook, for example, to do just LinkedIn. And you and I talked about that. I have focused heavily on LinkedIn, and it takes time. It's starting to make a difference. So we don't want to spread ourselves too thin, like you said, on Instagram, TikTok. I don't think that's for our business so much, at least.
Well, and you get lost on those. So yes, it's all those, but you also have to realize that it's not instantaneous. That you're out building relationships with people. Now, you might stumble across people who need what you have immediately, but but you can't plan on that. And so you have to keep all the balls in the air. You have to be out face-to-face networking. You have to be doing the 3-foot rule and meeting people where they're at. But you can prepare. I mean, it was literally, I woke up one morning and went, oh my God, how do I meet people? And then it went from there and figured it out. And it's not rocket science, but I'm seeing that there's a lot of little nuances that companies and by and large don't teach, unfortunately, because they just don't understand. They just see these younger people doing what they're doing on Facebook and think everybody should do that.
Absolutely.
And I think there's some people who are making fools of themselves out there doing things they should not be doing at their age.
Right. And then we end up having to do a lot of repair work, right? So, and you're also very active with Ladies of Justice, correct?
Yeah, not as much as I was. I'm kind of retiring from a number of things that I had in my hands, and I'm totally retired, kind of semi-retired. But Ladies of Justice was a passion project for me, because I feel even actually stronger about it now that I've done the research I've done in marketing and whatnot, that it's so important that we give people the opportunity. And I don't care, we're all different. This is the thing. But if a company is made up for just one type of person, there's going to be a challenge. And I think women were looking for a way to that was more in integrity with who they felt they were. They didn't want to leave their children at home to go to get dressed up in clothing that they maybe never had worn before. I mean, Zoom has changed a lot for us from that perspective. But, when we go face to face, we need to talk to women the way women want to be talked to. Again, going right back to what I said about LinkedIn,
Exactly.
your profile. If you are going to work with women, you got to talk to them in a different way. For instance, this is just a small one, but men are more attracted to making money and women are more attracted to making an impact. But guess what? If you make an impact, you'll make money. So it doesn't matter which one place you come from. But that's an important thing to think. And so let's say you go after small business owners, you say, I want to work with women in small business. That's the market I'm going after. You will find men in small business being attracted to your messaging as well. So it's not that you exclude people, it's that you focus on one, you speak to them, and then as a result of that, you start attracting, and the men you'll attract will be different than the men who aren't as in alignment with women and don't, like being around women. So it's your messaging can reach a broad audience, but you want to say, I hear your pain. I know how to help you. I know how to fix this problem.
Absolutely. We have a couple of minutes left, and I wanted to say, if anybody would like to ask a brief question, put your hand up. And we don't normally do that, but then we don't always have someone as special as you on who's far away. So if somebody would like to ask a question, if there are any out there, I kind of threw that. We're not used to that. Okay, John. I'm going to let John ask a question. Go ahead.
Lorna, it's great to see you. It's been too long. I missed not seeing you in OKC. So thank you for being on here, sharing your wisdom, which just has been pure wisdom. Maybe not everyone knows you've authored a book. So the question will be, would you be willing to just share a little bit about that journey and who's the book for? For the people who don't know about it, how can they get it? I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, the book, first of all, don't buy it off of Amazon because I haven't got the latest one up on Amazon. So if you come to go to Lorna Rasmusson, there's my name on my label there, Lorna.Rasmussen. No, I'm sorry, LornaRasmussen.com. You can buy the book there, and if you want to buy a paperback copy of it, if you put the word gift in and the code, it will take, I think, $10 off the price of the book. So making it half price, I think. Anyway, that's where you get it, LornaRasmussen.com. It's really what I was trying to do before Ladies of Justice came along. I wanted to speak to women the way they wanted to be spoken to, and it is a book to recruit women. That was the purpose of it. And the smart guys out there, at one point, I had one guy buying boxes of the books, and I heard that he used to, after the meeting, he'd position himself kind of at a table where anybody walking in and out of the restaurant could see him, and he'd set up a little display of my books, and then offer them to prospects as they came by. So it was, and I love that because that's what it was designed to do. It was really designed to get you the languaging. So it's meant for men as well. And Paul J. Meyer wrote the intro to it, and he said, men have to read this. Women should read it. Men have to read it. Because again, so many men approach women the way they would approach a guy, and it just doesn't work. So that's why the book is so important. Awesome. Yeah, and that's Jane just put one of my latest blog posts. I'm doing videos on all kinds of things. Actually, I'm starting to rehash because I'm running out of time. But But this one's a good one. Five questions to ask your
Yeah, I
prospect
wanted
during the
to
follow-up.
share that one. That was a good one. Excellent.
Yeah, and if you go in and there's actually a free book, which is a very concentrated version of the absolute best way for women to make money. It's just taking the nuggets out step by step, but it makes it and it's free. It's an ebook and it's free. Just when you go to lornarasmussen.com, it's an offer. And when you do that, you'll get on my email list. If you care to be, you can always unsubscribe, but you'll get my blogs on a weekly basis. And I'm doing a lot of, as my son said, whether you know so much and you really need to share it. So that's what I'm doing.
I think he's absolutely right. Well, thank you so much. We were so honored to have you on. Great nuggets. We got it recorded tonight, so that was wonderful. We often forget that, Lorna. So thank you so much for that.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's it makes my heart jump with joy to see all your faces. It's lovely to see everybody.
Great. I wish more people had their videos on, but you get the idea, and we love having you. Thank you so much. So with that, I'm going to go out now. We're not going to do breakout rooms tonight, but I've got Chuck. You're on here somewhere. There you are. I'll just look up here at my light. It looks like I'm looking at you. So Chuck, I'm going to hand it over to Chuck for some enthusiasm.
All right. Well,
enthusiasm.
Okay, Jane. Thank you. Jane asked me to just share some nuggets from the presentation you just heard. So some of it will be repetitive. I've got a couple of things that I'll add to it. But I was listening to a Les Brown promo, and he said that, people talk about the secret of success. And he said, no, there's a system to success. And I think we were just introduced to a system to success, and there's different elements that Lorna shared with us. And I think one of the two, her mentoring and her humility, I thought that was just exceptional. So, and of course the Zoom, we can do that everywhere. I haven't been active in that, but I took that down as something I need to do. And networking events, just whatever it takes for us to meet people, because people need the membership, right? So, and now remember, these are just reminders from what you just heard. And then, of course, if you're on the beach, you got to dress appropriately. I thought I'd throw that in there because some of you are, hey, I don't know, you could get a little wild out there. And she talked about visibility. Visibility. People can't find us. They can buy from us if they don't know where we're at. And Ivan Meisner of BNI said that there's 3 steps: visibility, credibility, leads to profitability. Visibility to credibility to profitability. And then talking about what the people need. Speak to their listening, asking questions. You've heard it said before. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Be intentional. And I saw in the chat, John Drennan put in there, the relationship before the transaction. We can always keep the relationship. We might not get the transaction right away, but it will come. We've heard many stories, and John's had some where years went by and then someone finally got the transaction, but he always kept the relationship. So that's my summary of what I heard tonight, and I'm glad to just give it back to you. And Jane, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much. It always helps to hear it in different words and a different angle. And so with that, I was going to look for a Paul J. Meyer video, but all the videos of him it's recorded. There's no video, and some of them were hard to hear. So because wasn't too sure about my sound, I decided to share a clip of Eric Worre. So let me bring this up and we will watch this one.
I'm going to give you a simple series of questions for you to ask at the end of any presentation. You do a PBR, ask these questions. You do a Zoom call, ask these questions. You show a video, ask these questions. Sample your product, ask these questions. 3-way call, ask these questions. Sit down with somebody for coffee. When you're done, ask these questions. Question number 1. What did you like best based upon what I just showed you? What did you like best? Question number 1. One of the most powerful questions. I've tried them all over 30 years. I've tried, what do you think? Not to good results. The best question I've ever come up with, works in every country around the world, is what did you like best? This forces a person to go into their mind and think of something good. Question number 2. On a scale of 1 to 10, based upon what I've just shared with you, where are you? 1 being you have 0 interest, and 10 being you're ready to get started right this second. Where are you? Guess what you're going to get a lot of? 5s, 6s. If they say 7, they're joining. People won't say 10 because they don't want to seem like a cheap date. Here's a tip for you. Anything over a 1 is good. Seriously. If they say 2, I'm a 2. Well, we told them 1 is they have 0 interest. 2 must mean there's something there, but they're skeptical. Might take more time. You're going to have this conversation over the long term with them anyway. Just understand that this one might take a little bit more time. Fantastic. Scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Just get a temperature reading. Question number 3 deals with how much money would be worth their time. How much money would be worth their time? Now, here's how I ask the question, and this is refined over many, many years. What's your name, sir? Michael. Hi, Michael. How you doing? Pleasure. So if I talk to Michael and I say, hey, what'd you like best? I just showed you a video. What'd you like best? Make something up.
I love the concept of getting paid every month.
You like the concept of getting paid every month. Fantastic. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? 1, 0 interest, 10, you're ready to get started right this second. A 6. Fabulous. So let me ask you another question. Hypothetically, if you got started in this business part-time, how much would you need to earn per month in order to make this worth your time?
$1,000 a month.
$1,000. If you're doing this part-time, how much would you need to earn per month in order to make this worth your time? The words worth your time are really, really critical. Hypothetically is also very helpful. Off the record, just between you and me, let's just, spitball this. How much would you need to earn per month in order to make this worth your time? He says $1,000 a month. Do I care what he says? All I care is that he gives me a number. He says, I don't know. Just play with me. How much? I'm not so sure. Just give me a number. Pick one. Okay, fine. $500, $1,000, whatever the number is. Question number 4. This will flow naturally as you practice it a little bit. How many hours a week, realistically, could you commit to developing that $1,000 monthly income?
5 to 10 hours a week.
5 to 10 hours a week. You're going to get a lot of those. How many months, question number 5, how many months would you be willing to work those 5, 10 hours a week while you're developing $1,000 monthly income? 6 months. Question number 6 is just if I would you. If I could show you, Michael J. If I could show you, Michael, how to develop $1,000 monthly income working 5 to 10 hours a week over the course of the next 6 months, would you be ready to get started?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know how hard it is for him to say no to that? Every single one of those answers was what he wanted. Every one. All I did was ask the questions.
Ask the questions. Hope that made sense. Everybody have a great evening. Bye-bye for now. And we will see you all tomorrow morning for the morning stretch call.
Hey, Jane, quick